What's up, guys? We're at Past Pop Culture. My name is Ricky with my co-host here, Mr. Fenn.
Howdy.
And today we'll be talking about the Flash movie, right? So it finally came out.
Woo.
We're just gonna get into it. We are gonna preface by saying we do have our own opinions about Urza Miller, so we're gonna not like factor that into the actual review for the
Yeah.
movie. But outside of like what we think about Urza Miller personally, we're gonna talk about the Flash because I
Yep.
think just straight off the bat, I kind of am upset of how good the Flash was,
Yeah.
and I think we're both kind of in that boat. Like,
A lot of people are, not just us.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, okay, so why? Like, why was it good? Like, why did they decide now? And then we got James Gunn doing his thing now,
Yeah.
and I thought we were gonna see things get factored in a little bit more, but I guess not. I don't know, man. It was kind of like some weird decisions to me, though. That's the main thing. Where it's like, okay, this is. Oh, also I should mention this is a spoiler review, so that we will be
Yeah.
going over spoilers. So if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, I do recommend to go see it. It is a good movie, right? Like that just is, but
Do what you gotta do. How about
yeah,
that?
if you don't want to support it, you don't have to support
Yeah.
it. But and then realistically, it's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
It, everything that's coming out, this is more just like get whatever money we can and then just release it because the Flash was an expensive and laborious process to get out. And I was always saying, just put it out, dude. Just get the movie out. And man, the CGI was a little rough though. There was some spots where the CGI could have used some help where like the faces look kind of weird. Like there'll be like certain like side angles,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would just look slightly off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I could let it pass. To be quite honest, it was good enough for me to like pass
I mean, I think
on
it's
like
on par with how pretty much every single superhero movie that's been coming out lately. Like Marvel
yeah.
hasn't been the greatest, right? And then it's like this one came out.
Mhm.
It's like it's pretty much the same thing. So, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I think you're right because unfortunately the quality of CGI has just gone down.
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I think it's just we're pumping these things out or something, and it's just been really, really like bad the CGI on a
Yeah.
lot of these things. Like where it's passable, but I have noticed like there has been a steep decline in how good the
Yeah.
CGI is, and it's like, and so now I'm like, I'm willing to forgive it because it's like, okay, like these things are getting mass produced and the people who actually are working on the CGI, they understand and they know like, hey, we're not giving the best product,
Yeah.
but they're forced onto these very short, very tight deadlines,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like, you're gonna have to get everything done in a month. And it's like the whole movie. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the time frame, but it must feel like that to
Well,
them. Where they,
especially if they have reshoots and it's like, wait, we got to do a
Mhm.
whole CGI for a reshoot and the movie's out next month, right?
Yeah,
That's it's like, oh,
it's definitely they're working hard back there, those VFX artists and all that, because there's no way these movies are getting out as quick as they are without some sort of shortcuts and
yeah,
burnout happening back there.
yeah,
I don't know. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, I prefer that like the CGI is good, but it's not
yeah,
absolutely necessary. I'm willing to suspend reality. And this is why I kind of think animation is kind of better in
mm-hmm,
some ways because as long as you have a consistent art quality, you're fine,
yeah,
right? Like I think like when you're telling these kind of stories and because you have Urza Miller playing himself like
mm-hmm,
and then like you have multiverses and stuff so like that whole multiverse scene where you're seeing all the like older yeah, Christopher Reeves and then
Nicolas Cage,
Nicolas Cage, right? You had all them show up, right?
yeah.
And I know they kind of went with a certain art style, like aesthetic for that, but they looked very plasticky, and it was like, you know
So
what I mean?
yeah,
But it's
but
like if it was animated, you could get away with it because it's like, well, some of these people like you're not going to get
oh,
them to
I
be
see
able
what
in
you
front of the
mean.
screen.
Yeah,
So
I
you
see
can't
what you're
actually
saying.
film them, so they just CGI'd them in there.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh, if it's animated, you can kind of get away with it. Like when they did, I mean, like the Spider-Verse movies, right?
Yeah.
Like across the Spider-Verse, uh, all of them had their own art style, and it's really cool. And I think
Hmm.
that multiverse, when they were animating everything, even though it took an incredibly long time to do
4 years.
everything,
So.
yeah, it looked better. I think
Hmm.
overall in terms of multiverse and how having like that cohesion of the movie.
Yeah, I can
And
agree
then
to
but
that.
like because like the Flash, they're doing like the multiverse stuff. Like it just looked kind of off, I guess,
Well, see,
especially because of the CGI.
the director even said that that was on purpose. So let me see if I can find the quote, but he's pretty much said like, "Oh yeah, we did that on purpose because he's running at this, speed of light, and it's like he's trying to get the image that
Hmm.
he's like it's Ezra Miller's or the Flash's POV, and like everything is stretched because he's like running so fast, so everything kind of has that weird like texture,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it's like
I,
I can
I
kind of understand
I
that, but
understand it, but like I don't know. I feel like when this stuff is like it gets animated, it just comes across like better. Like I don't know, maybe it's just more of a suspension of reality.
yeah, I
It's
see
just
what you're
easier
saying.
to make that leap.
Hmm.
That I don't know. Like you're not really like watching across the Spider-Verse. You're not really questioning anything too much, like how things look that way. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, because it's
It's
a
like, oh,
cartoon.
it's all stylistic and art
Yeah.
style. It's like, but yeah, it did kind of just look slightly off.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying it's a bad decision, but I'm not saying it's a good decision or a great decision. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just kind of like things do look a little awkward, unfortunately, with like CGI in general. But we've
Yeah.
been kind of seeing that lately, just in all movies.
It sucks.
Yep. Yeah, but story-wise, I think it was, I mean, it's not like the greatest story. What did what's his name say? He was like, "Oh yeah, this is the greatest, storytelling and
Yeah,
superhero movies
yeah,
ever."
the greatest superhero movie ever made.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know about
yeah.
that.
I don't know about that. It was good. It was good. I mean,
He
it
overhyped
was good, but it was like I don't know. It was a little overhyped. People were overhyping this a little too much. I think it
Yeah.
was kind of like. I don't know about all that, Chief. You know what I mean? I don't know about all that. Like that was kind of like it was good. It was good. It was a solid. It's like a 7.5 to an 8 for
Mm-hmm.
most people, I would say. For
Okay.
me, it's more of like a 7, 7.5.
Okay.
But that means it's watchable. That means it's good.
Yeah.
5 is okay. 5 is like eh. If
You
I
and your
stream
weird
it,
system.
I'll stream it. I'll stream it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 5 is like you should just watch it on like if The Flash was good enough where you can go out watch the movie in theaters and be like I enjoyed that. That was
Yep.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was just because Michael Keaton showed up and he made like 90% of the movie for me. It just him as Batman running around, just his weird
Absolute.
one-liners.
Yeah.
And like it was just like
You
you
want to
want to
get
get
nuts?
nuts. Let's get
Let's
nuts.
get
I was like,
nuts.
how is that related? I have no idea, but that's it was more of a less serious Batman.
I'm actually glad because I saw his movie like right before
Mhm.
this movie, so I was like, I'm actually glad I saw the original Michael Keaton Batman because I think it made me appreciate it a lot more.
Because that one wasn't very serious, right?
Kind of. It's with Jack Nicholson, so it was a
Yeah, I
very.
can't. I mean, I've seen that so long ago. You know what I
It
mean?
it
Where it's
didn't
like
age very well. Let's just say
I've
that.
heard that before. That it doesn't
Uh,
age the best.
I was laughing because how cringe it was, but I think that's why I liked him in the Flash because it's like I know how it
It was,
was, and now he's
yeah,
saying like you want to get nuts. It's like okay, I can
yeah. But
appreciate it more.
I mean, that was like 90% of the experience for me, man. That was like, oh, okay, like especially because like my dad, we went there for Father's Day, right?
Yeah.
So he was all like excited to kind of see like Michael Keaton's Batman because he's a little more familiar with that. That's kind of
Yeah.
more going back to his era.
Hmm.
So then it was like, oh yeah, he was really excited and he was like, oh yeah, that's really cool that they brought him back, for one last time and
Yeah.
this and that. So it was a good crowd pleasing kind of thing.
Hmm. I agree.
But I think it was a good choice for the movie, like overall. Not just to be like, oh yeah, cool, look, hey, you remember this guy? But it was
Oh,
like
okay.
Batman was an actual integral character that I
Yeah.
think actively made the movie better.
Yeah.
Right? Especially like when they, kept dying and dying and dying. But, it was like, oh, okay, like there's still some emotional weight there. And you know, I think
That
it's
was
Michael
pretty sad,
Keaton.
not gonna lie.
Yeah, like he's a good actor, right? So it's
Yeah.
like it's he brought the emotion and he brought the funny, you know, for
Hmm.
this character. It wasn't one way too much or the other. I thought it was interesting that they just kind of. I think in terms of Flashpoint, though, in general, right?
Hmm.
There's no Thomas Wayne. It's Supergirl, not Superman.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no Reverse
Reverse Flash.
Flash.
Well, maybe. I don't know if that was Reverse Flash. I don't know. They didn't really
Well,
call. They didn't
I
call it
thought
anything.
they didn't call it anything. It was just himself. I thought it was Godspeed for a second.
I thought so too.
Like
Actually,
when they first showed him,
like when he was like that scary part, right? I was like,
yeah,
oh.
and I was like, well, that was interesting. They chose Godspeed, right? Especially because Godspeed's more of a newer character, and I don't really know much about him outside of the Flash TV show, right? So
Yeah.
I don't. I haven't read comics in the longest time.
Yeah.
So I think maybe from the when I was last reading, he barely showed up or something like that in the Flash.
That's
So
where he's the wearing all white, right? No, that's not Godspeed.
no,
Right?
that's a different one. Well, point being
Yeah.
is that or maybe it could have been. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I'm not entirely sure what you were referring to, but
Yeah, me
I've
neither.
kind of like seen it in my head. But point being was like I was like, wait, Godspeed? Like what the heck? What's
Mm-hmm.
going on? And then it was like no, and then the main villain was kind of like not necessarily a villain. It was kind of like well, because it's me, and it's just from a different universe, and so the other version of me, you know, just lets himself die, and that
And
it
then
like
he
you know,
kills the
yeah.
villain.
So,
That was
so
kind.
it's like,
I didn't
well,
really like that part. I'm not
yeah,
gonna
I
lie.
was like, well, I mean, it showed that the younger version of himself, you know, matured and everything, was willing
Yeah.
to sacrifice himself because he was like, no, we have to save everybody. We have to save everybody.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh no, some things some people you can't just save. You have to let certain things go.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was, I think, a good connection in the movie, but I'm not sure if it's like, oh, the villain fight was nothing more than that. And I was like, oh, okay. So then it was like, you had Zod, who's kind of like the main fight, but they lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. I don't mind the hero losing.
Yeah.
But then it just felt like, I don't know, I did feel like things were a little incomplete because it was like, okay, there was not a big showdown
Yep. There definitely
kind of
wasn't.
thing. And then so I kind of felt like that it was like a little anticlimactic, I guess that's the best way to put it. And then so it left me a little like,
That's it.
okay, yeah, like I was like, oh, okay, like he just stabs himself and dies, you know, and then it was like,
Well, that's
he
literally
just
it, right?
disappeared. Yeah, and then, yeah, I was like, oh, okay, shoot, like I thought there was a little bit more. Like I don't know, I wish that's the only thing that I wish they would have kept Reverse Flash for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been a bit better, personally.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
if they kept that part of the storyline, because like especially because like when they did the animated movie for Flashpoint, right? Like
Yeah.
that was so good. That was so
Yeah.
good. And like part of me wishes they just went with that storyline and they animated that because that would have been pretty sick. But at the same time, I'm fine with the changes they made. I think it was good.
I say
think
I
it was-
say it's good because like I know a lot of our cousins were like, well, it's not like the comics, and it's like I think this movie is what it's supposed to be because this is like the movie verse, right? Like and Flashpoint was like I guess more comic, like the animated was more like the animated side / comic book, and it's like that makes sense, and then like everything in this one kind of makes sense because like we don't really have all that story like the comics,
Yeah.
right? And it's like it just
Yeah.
pretty much bundled up all the movie stuff that we've seen, you know, Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, Aquaman, blah blah blah, Michael Keaton, and it's like I think they just kind of wanted to focus on their own, how do I say it, like their own movie verse instead of trying to do what the comics did, but they still like paid respect to it, right? It's like all right, goes back in time and all that, but it's like maybe Reverse Flash could have still made
Yeah.
sense, but
I think you're right too, but because maybe they're just saving him, right? Because Reverse Flash is like a big deal.
exactly.
So
But again, it's what happened with the actor. It's like
Yeah.
I think maybe this is my philosophy, not to skip around, but like we're gonna kind of skip. I'm gonna skip to the end real quick. Like you know how it goes back in time and it's like not even Michael Keaton, it's George Clooney, which I screamed at. I'm
You're
thinking,
fangirling or what?
no, I was just like, that was so stupid. Even the line
Oh,
where
you thought that
he's
was
like, wait, you're
stupid?
not Batman. And he's like, come on. I was like, shut up. I hate that so much. It was a good ending, but I think that uh, what happened with Ezra Miller, I think they kind of closed his story. And but at the same time, like if they wanted to recast him, they can just say, "Oh yeah, it's a different multiverse," in case they don't keep Ezra Miller. But like, if in a perfect world, you know, he wasn't crazy and he didn't do all that stuff he did, I think maybe they would have like introduced the Reverse Flash, and then said, "Hey, you know, he's going back to like our multiverse or our movie verse." You know, Ben Affleck's still there because like everyone's fired. So
Yeah, that's the hard part where it's like, it kind of, you're right. I think it kind of makes that full circle, at least for this DC movie universe.
yeah,
Even though it's like struggled so much
yeah, I
to
think it
get
capped it.
anything off the ground,
Yeah,
right? I mean, Man of Steel, dude, like that was like what, 2014?
that was 10 years ago.
So 2013?
Yes.
So let's say, yeah, so in the early 2010s, right? Came out, was supposed to kick off this whole like multitude of movies, right?
Yep.
And then we were gonna get Justice League. Then we were gonna get Batman. We're supposed to get Batman movies. We're
Yeah.
supposed to get uh, Green Lantern. We're supposed to get Cyborg. I mean, like, there's so many things.
Yeah.
But it was like, I don't know, because you could tell, unfortunately, in this movie that like what they filmed already, right? Like the beginning sequence, where like yes, you do have Gal Gadot, you have Wonder Woman, Batman. They
Yeah.
all show up,
Exactly.
and then you can tell like okay, that's what they did. And then since they got fired, and then after those reshoots, because like they just kind of mention them, because the only one who actually shows up at the end is Aquaman,
Yep.
right? And
Poor guy.
you know,
He's the last one left.
yes, and they even acknowledge that in universe, like
Yeah.
oh, you're the one who stayed the same.
Yep.
So it's like I don't know.
It's like how do you make the Flash, like if you wanted to make it comic book, like how do you do that when they lost their Superman, they lost their Batman, they lost their Wonder Woman, and Aquaman's still like a maybe, but like how do you do this movie without them, you know? So it's like I think that's why they kind of just said, you know what, we're gonna have Michael Keaton be there because he's part of the movie verse. He's dead. Oh, we still have George Clooney. Let's just say hello. But it's like let's just make it seem
Yeah.
like he's not in the or in the movie verse anymore. He's somewhere else, and that way we don't have to deal with him anymore. That's my opinion.
Yeah, the movie you can tell the movie struggled
Yeah.
so much because you could tell that throwing, like you're saying, like George Clooney in, right? Like was kind of like oh yeah, it's kind of funny, but then they're like, well, they couldn't actually show Ben Affleck even if they wanted to.
Exactly.
So it was like I mean, they didn't really even show. I mean, did they even show Superman like at all? Like
Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill, yeah.
They showed his backside where he's
Yeah,
shooting
but
the
they didn't show
volcano.
his face.
Nope.
But yeah, that was it. They didn't show his actual face because I mean, they can't, right? So like this movie was like for what it was, the hand that it was dealt, we have to applaud it for, right?
Yeah.
Like there were some things that were just pretty crazy, and they somehow worked around it because I think a lot of the rewrites and everything were just because like, oh, well,
They had
we
to get
can't
rid
do
of 'em.
this, we can't, yeah, we got rid of them and this and
Yeah.
that and blah blah blah, and it was just like, oh man, like, and I felt like because you can kind of tell some things were just kind of like bootstrapped together and just
Yeah.
like, but it worked. I don't know how they got it to work, and it was good despite everything. I don't know, the editors or something were working magic back there or something, but they got it to work. And it's only so sad to know too. It's like, man, if they were actually competent enough, the kind of movie we could have really gone for
Exactly,
Flashpoint, right?
yeah.
Because you're right. Like, I mean, sure, they could have showed Aquaman and stuff like that, but then how are they going to fit that in? And I think for the changes that they made, right? Supergirl, right? Like, even though she did kind of feel like she didn't really get like a lot of screen time.
She was
right?
still good
Like,
though.
she was still good, and I think her character was still like necessary, right? Like, because it was mainly like Batman, and it's like, and because you have like the Flash, right? But you have this younger and his older self, and I felt like they did that too because it's like, well, we can't have any other characters,
Exactly.
right? Like, so it's like, because then it would have just been Batman and the Flash, right? That's it, right?
Yep.
Like it would just been them two the whole movie until they finally get Supergirl, right? And then so it would have felt like I think maybe they're like, oh, we need one more person, but they didn't know how to do that. So then they're like, oh, well, we'll just do the whole he meets himself kind of thing, right? Because the whole movie they're like, oh, you can't meet yourself, and then he meets himself, and nothing really bad actually happens, right, from meeting himself
True.
outside of the ending where he's like, oh, we gotta save everybody, but that all gets like wrapped up in a neat bow. So
Yeah.
it didn't really feel like there was like, even though they were saying that, there really wasn't consequences to all this stuff. So I mean, I don't know. It just felt kind of weird.
Well,
The
I
whole
mean,
movie.
yeah. I mean, that's what the thing with time travel, which I don't like. It's like, yeah, there's supposed to be consequences, but I always make the Flash sound more complicated than it has to be. But like, he met him, so it's like that had to happen in order for the ending to happen. But he wasn't supposed to meet
Yeah.
him, so it's like I don't. I'm not a fan of time travel. I'm just gonna say it because that's where it just gets like, what the heck?
Yeah, it gets kind of confusing
I
there.
thought you weren't supposed to meet him, but you have to meet him in order to become the Flash, and that like it's like, huh?
Yeah, so I
So,
don't know. There's just a few things like, of course, that kind of I think, like I keep saying, from all the problems it had, despite that, it turned out to be a pretty good movie.
phenomenal, yeah.
And then it was like, but knowing that if it didn't have those bars,
It could
right,
have been like the best
it
superhero
could
movie.
have they really yeah, it could have unleashed something really
Yeah.
great. But because Flashpoint, everyone likes Flashpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Even my
Yeah,
parents
it's
like the
like
Flashpoint animated movie.
everyone likes Flashpoint. Yeah, it's like it's a good movie. It's a
it,
good
I don't
comic
know.
line. It's it's a good comic. It's just it's good, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's exciting, right? Like there's so many like because it's crazy, right? But you know, it is one of those things where it's like, of course they can't do everything they wanted to do,
Yeah.
so we're just kind of like,
We're stuck in a hard place.
yeah, and that's why it's like I can't be too upset.
Well, I
But
mean, I am upset because this was a phenomenal movie, and it's like, I don't know if I should say this. Ezra Miller was actually like really, really good in this movie. Like, I'm not gonna praise him too much, but like he was able to play two different characters and like have so much emotion and so like they were like, yeah, he was the
yeah, they
same
can act.
actor, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. I just don't. I don't want
But
to
yeah,
praise him, but he
as a
carried it kind of hard.
person,
Yeah, as a person,
as a
yikes.
person, no.
As Barry Allen, nice. Yeah, that's how we should say it. But what we could have had though.
Yeah,
That's the part
just
that
can't
gets
have
me.
nice things.
I know. It's like, come on, guys. You're not superheroes or supervillains in real life. Get it together. Stop method acting. This is why method acting is.
Just be a decent human being
Yeah.
while you're filming these things, please.
Yes, like
It's
come
like, is that so
on.
hard to ask for? Because man, it's just been happening a lot where it's like, oh yeah, they do this and they do that, and it's like what? Or they have a drug problem, or they do this and
I
they
don't
said
know
that, and
why.
it's just like, just please, like, just film this. Like,
And it's always somebody who's really good at whatever role he did, and it's just like, come on.
Mhm.
Because there's like,
That's how
like King. I was like praising him before he did stuff, and I was like, he's a phenomenal actor. He seems really nice. Because I was watching a bunch of interviews with him, and then
So yeah, I mean, it's just crazy that that all this stuff's happening, but
yeah,
we'll see though. We'll see how the future is for DC because we do have James Gunn's the
universe.
Gunverse, I guess.
I don't
The
know.
Gunniverse. I don't know.
Gross.
The James verse. I don't know. It's something that they're gonna be coming up, but they're coming. I guess that because I was waiting for like James Gunn or something at the end to be like, "Hey guys, so we're starting this new, like a whole, sometimes
Oh,
you know how
like,
they do
hey,
that to
thank you for
movies."
watching. Here's the new
Yeah,
stuff. Oh,
yeah, and like here's some stuff we're gonna introduce. Like, so we're leaving this world behind to go into this brand new world that the Flash has created, and these are the heroes that are gonna lead it. Like, I was kind of hoping for something like that.
that would have been pretty good, Ricky. Well, shoot.
Like
Go
just
tell
at
him.
the end where he shows like George Clooney and then the end credit scene. I
Yeah.
thought it was like, hey guys, so the Flash set up this new living and
New
crazy
strand of
multiverse.
multiverse.
Yeah, and so now we're in this new world, and this is where my movies are gonna be taking place, and blah blah blah. And so I hope
Dang.
you guys enjoy. Here's some of the movies we're gonna be showing, like
Dang.
at least something at the end, because it was just kind of like they
And
give
they,
like a little end credit thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah," they show Aquaman, but it was kind of lame. Like everyone was like, "Oh, that's it," and I was like, "Okay,
why is
let's
he always
go."
drunk?
Yeah, and the thing was like, I was like, "Oh, I thought like James Gunn was gonna show up for a second and just be like, hey guys,' but
That's
no,
actually
we
a
didn't get
really good
anything."
idea, Ricky.
I felt like that would have been a good idea because like this is like because we don't know what's going on anymore.
No,
We
we
don't
don't.
know what's going on. It's like we're just like, oh yeah, this movie finished, and
That's
like
it.
we're in this new timeline that like we're at this new intersection, right? And that would have been a good time where it's like, hey, just forget everything you knew. We're starting over. Here's some of the stuff, right? But I'm not sure if they're even that far along, right? Like it may be another good 5 years before we have everything actually set up to start doing cool stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Well, we'll see. I mean, because Blue Beetle is the beginning of James Gunn's universe, I think.
yeah, but it's like that would have been cool if there's like something. Like I hope we get some. I need like because when James Gunn was like, "Hey guys," they did their little like DC thing, remember? And he's like,
Yeah.
"This is like all the characters," and like it did. It was like it was cool. Like oh cool, like we're getting all these new characters. But
Hmm.
like, where's Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern, Cyborg? Like, where are the characters we really care about already? Right? Like what's going on with Henry Cavill? Right? Like why make him leave?
I don't know, man.
Right?
I'm starting to think
Like
something suspicious happened with Henry Cavill. Because, okay, sure, he wasn't picked again, but he wasn't even shown in this movie. Like, they could even show his face.
yeah, I think that's just because of The Witcher, right? They're like, oh, he signed away the rights to his face or something like that. But I
I
thought
don't
that
know,
was way
man.
over by
That
now.
is over, so.
Like
They
that
couldn't
contract stuff.
reshoot that or CGI him in or something? Like, that's kind of weird.
I don't know, but like they didn't have Superman talk. Like they
Exactly.
didn't have like anything. It was just like a clearly CGI'd like okay, he's doing the
Shooting
volcano or whatever.
lasers. Why is he
Yeah,
shooting lasers at a volcano? Like, come on now, guys.
yeah. And then the like there was just nothing, and I was like, okay, like I don't know. I think there was a bigger falling out that
I think so,
happened
yeah.
in DC than we want to admit. Like I
At
think
least with Henry
something,
Cavill.
at least with Henry Cavill, but dude, Ben Affleck got slighted as well. He was
Yeah, but
supposed
he
to
even.
film
But
and direct his own movie.
yeah, but he even
They
said
took
he's
that
like
away.
I'm glad I was in this movie. I had so much fun and blah 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 blah. It's like that doesn't sound like he got screwed over. Like Henry Cavill wasn't even the movie. He's like the only one that got extremely shafted because he like not even Shazam he was shown. Wonder or Gal Gadot was shown, right?
Yeah, yeah, but they can't even show. I think because we know Henry Cavill's a more like nerd,
Yeah.
right? I think he was upset with how they're portraying Superman and how they're
Hmm.
using all the characters, and then he just was like, because the same thing happened like in The Witcher, right?
Yeah.
Henry Cavill was like, that's not true. That didn't happen. Why is my character doing this?"
What a Chad.
Uh,
I love Henry Cavill.
and then so it's like, well, we don't care about the source material. He's like, what? You're gonna and then
He's like, I'm out.
and then he's like, you don't care about the source material? Then what's the point? And then you get into arguments and they're like, oh, no, Henry Cavill's actually a jerk because he corrected me on how that this character would never do this because of XYZ, because if he read the book from, and he's like, so it's like, and then he's like, so, like they're saying stuff like that about
Yeah.
Henry Cavill. They're trying to get him like, and
And
then
they
so
just
I
made
think
him love more.
maybe that's what happened. It's just Henry Cavill was just too up their butt. Like, dude, why are you doing this? Like, and why are you doing that? And it's like, okay, and then just
I
all that
respect.
mess
Hey, if
that
that's the
DC.
case, I respect Henry Cavill. Defend
I
yourself.
think, I
He's our
think, I
Superman.
think, I think that's what just happened. Like, he was
Mm,
just too annoying to deal with, and then they're like, you know what, we're not having you anymore. I think that's what happened
dang, that's kind of
as
sad to be
Superman.
honest.
Cause like we didn't get Man of Steel 2 or nothing. We just got Man of Steel.
Yep.
But it was funny. He did one movie. He did one movie, and everyone was like, "Oh yes, that's
He's our
phenomenal."
Superman.
Thank you.
He's it. That's it. 100% done.
Yeah, yeah, and then like it was just kind of I don't know. There was too many mistakes made. That's it. There's too many
Yeah.
mistakes made for DC.
But see, that's why
Uh,
this movie was a good, like, okay, let's get rid of this crummy, all the issues, all the,
enough.
troubles. It's like, all right, it's done, sealed, put a bow on it, ship it out. Let's start all over. I can kind of, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like their decision making is kind of weird, and I hope James Gunn actually is able to
I
do
hope so.
something.
Yeah. I mean, he's
Like
proven that he cares, right? So
he's proven to be competent enough to make a movie,
yeah,
right? Especially for comic book characters,
yeah.
right? So he's clearly competent enough to make the movies. So, but it's just like, can we just please like get a proper Superman movie, right?
Well, I
Can
mean,
we please?
that's the one that's gonna be next, right? After Blue Beetle. So
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I need the confidence to be built back. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
show us
I need that. The
show us
Flash was
trailers.
actually a good step in the direction that I was not expecting because I am torn apart by like how wow the movie was actually good,
Yeah.
but it's like well the casting choices was a little interesting. I guess.
I mean, let's talk. You
And
want
the
to talk about
movie,
that beginning first scene where he
yeah.
threw the
So
baby in the microwave?
yeah, it was funny. It was funny. I gotta get it. But there was a few things that I felt like they were referencing the real world, like with all the
Yeah, you
stuff that
think?
people were doing. It was
Oh
like,
man, I
yeah, but
really.
I don't know. It was just it's one of those things where it's like it is what it is, and
Mm,
I hope that whatever DC does next is good.
yep,
I think they need to just focus, just like get to work,
yep,
bring back Henry Cavill. I mean, what? I mean, yes,
yes,
yeah.
please. And you know what? Ben
It's
Affleck. I really like him as Batman, especially after
really.
The Flash. I feel
I
like
think I
he's
think
a
his
good
was a
Batman.
little. I think yeah, I think they all got kind of shafted, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the only one who didn't actually was like Wonder Woman because she got two movies. She's the only one to get two.
Two movies. She was in Shazam. She was in this one. So she's fine.
Yeah, but like two like movies
Yeah,
by
that's
like
true. That's true. Yeah.
solo.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
Yeah, and
some
then I
people
don't
would have
know what's
called
going on with
Lewis.
Shazam, dude. Shazam is just there, right? So it's like
But,
there's no acknowledgement.
well, no,
And then
because he is part of the not the Punisher. Oh my gosh, what's his name? John Cena.
oh, Peacemaker.
Yeah, Peacemaker. So I think he's still part of James Gunn's universe. But where is he? I don't
I don't
know.
know. Yeah,
It's too many
everything
questions.
feels pretty disconnected, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. I think it's a good time to wrap it up there, but.
Yep.
Oh man, that was an interesting movie, though I have to say. But
Unfortunately.
yes, but if you enjoyed today's episode, very much appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe. If you're listening to us on YouTube, if you're on your preferred podcast listening platform, drop a thumbs up, a like, a heart, however it works on there. Any support always appreciated. Also, check out our Twitch, twitch.tv/pastthepopculture. We usually go live uh, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, about 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We've been playing games. We're going to try to maybe do a little bit more co-op party games, see how that goes. So if you're interested in that, let us know. You'll probably be seeing clips up on our Instagram, stuff like that. So, which is at Past the Pop Culture across the board. If you want to find like our TikTok or Twitter, that's where we mainly post our clips at. Sometimes you'll see them on YouTube. So make sure to stay subscribed so those shorts pop up in your feed. And yeah, I think that's everything. So thanks for listening, guys.
Boy.